Okay, so let's talk about the Milestones and Awards expansion. So first of all, I'd like to thank Thomas, one of the watchers of the channel, because he basically made all the notes in this video for me and sent them to me without me even asking him. So that was very nice. Thank you. And yeah, this video was kind of written by him. So thank you to Thomas. I hope that's your name. It's your username. So. Anyway, what I want to do is just talk about the changes in the milestones. I'm not going to go into each milestone and analyze it or anything. I'm going to do that with my usual spreadsheets later. But I want to talk about how the milestones changed for each map. Now, this expansion, there are many ways to use it. You can just like replace the actual milestones on the map without drawing randomly. And that would be interesting in some ways. Or you can draw full random. You can replace 3 at random, something like that. But what we saw with the milestones and awards is, well, for the milestones, some of the numbers changed. 5 were removed, and we got 5 new ones. And, well, I guess the Amazon Planitia are all new ones because it's a new map, so I will talk a little bit more about those, but let's begin. Let's begin with the Tharsis one. And so there were only 2 changes here. None were eliminated, but Terraformer got taken down 6 steps from 35 to 29. Which I think it's fair. Terraformer is always the last one to go, and if you see my video on that, I talk about it a lot. And then Builder, which is often the first one to go online, but with all the expansions added, I guess the building tags have gotten diluted. So that's probably why they moved it to 7. But if you're only playing maybe Prelude and Base, then 7 tag builder is going to be insanely fast. But other than that, no changes in Tharsis. Moving on to Hellas. So first of all, Tactician goes from 5 to 4, and again, I think that's fair. This is one that I always saw go very late. 3 stay the same, Diversifier, Energizer, and Ring Settler. And Polar Explorer got taken off. So Polar Explorer is not a random attack tile you can draw at random from this expansion. It's the first one that's removed. And instead we got Philanthropist. So Philanthropist is 5 non-negative victory points. So basically the same as Vitor. 5 non-negative victory point symbols. That includes like microbes and animals that do 1 per or whatever. You know, as long as it doesn't have a minus, it counts. And it counts your preludes, which some now have victory points, and your corporations, which some have victory points, like Arclight, right? So I think this is interesting because Hellas is already sort of the more engine-based board, with the plants on the board not being very good and the oceans not being very good. Like the ocean work is really bad, actually. And it also has like the Jovian tags and Diversifier usually goes to someone going for engine, although it can go to anyone. So Philanthropist makes this even more sort of engine focused, which is interesting. I like this milestone, and I think it can go very fast. There are a lot of cards with victory points, so I think this one can go very fast. But yeah, I'll talk about that later. Now Elysium. So in Elysium, there were 2 changes. Legend went from 5 to 4. I think that one's okay. I don't think it was like super necessary. The thing with Legend is that sometimes it could happen very fast if you got a lot of the cheap events, especially ones that draw cards. Sometimes like you would get stuck on 4 and you just wouldn't see one. But yeah, I think it's fine. And then Tycoon went from 15 to 10, and Tycoon is usually the 3rd milestone I see in this map. Like someone usually goes for like generalist or ecologist or specialist really fast, then another one goes, and then it's just like a race to Tycoon for the 3rd one usually, because it's easy to get. You just have to play the cards. It's just you just have to focus on it and not waste on events or standard projects. But like you can always find the cards for Tycoon, right? Taking it to 10, I'm worried it may be a little quick. Especially if you can find a lot of cheap cards and you're a rich corp. It can be a little quick. Definitely, I think 15 definitely was, like, it was never the first milestone to go, right? So 15 was definitely up there. 10 might be a little too much. We'll see. But finally, Specialist got taken off. Now remember, Specialist was 10 of any production, of that production. And then there's Producer. It's what's replacing it. And Producer is 16 combined production. And if you have negative production, you have to count that. So you have to subtract that from your total production, which I like. Now, is 16 combined faster than 10? Because the thing is, the 10 was usually cash, right? It was usually MC, and then sometimes heat, but it was usually just cash. And I mean, 6 production of something else wasn't super easy, right? You probably have a couple of medals, but I think this actually might be a little slower. Now the problem with like specialists was that you could just get lucky and get it, right? Like you could get after Preludes, which that expansion obviously came after Elysium, but Preludes like just made it so easy to get. Like you could get Allied Bank and Business Empire, and that's it. You have Specialist. You didn't have to even work for it, and those are two great flexible Preludes. So I'm not gonna say it was super easy to get because sometimes you couldn't find the cards, but it definitely like Preludes made it so much easier, much more than any other milestone out there, just because of the cash ones. There was a 4-1, a 6-1, and then more corps started coming with cash production. Because if you remember, this is the first expansion. None of the expansions except Tharsis, which starts with one production because of the city places, started with money production. But then you had like Chongqing coming in the prelude expansion, then Arc Lighting Colonies, and then like Polyphemus has 5, right? So yeah, I do think Specialist kind of had to go because of that. There was just too easy a pass for some corporations. Okay, now let's talk about the lesser known ones. But these maps have existed for a while, so these are technically changes. But first on Utopia Planitia, we had Pioneer go down from 4 colonies to 3. Sorry, go up from 3 colonies to 4. 4 is a lot. So I often see the early game settle on 2, and I would just be like, okay, now I can just pay 17 and get a master, right? And maybe you wouldn't get all the value you wanted out of that 3rd colony, but like you're doing it for the milestone and you get some value out of it. 4 feels like you have to be really focused on colonies. So I don't know. Like I get it that because you're sitting on 2, the 3 is just there and it's a standard project, so it's really easy to get a 3rd colony. But I don't know. I think 4 is just basically never worth it. Unless you get good colony, like cheap cards that place colonies, or good cards like Spaceport Colony. But yeah, I don't know about this one. I'm not sure about this one. And then we also had Manager leave. Now, Manager was just 3 special tiles in play. And I like that one. I don't know why they took that one off. It was maybe kind of hard. Like there aren't that many tiles, and with the deck diluted that much, it's pretty hard. But I don't know. I like that one. Maybe you could have made 2, or maybe that would have been too little. But anyway, that got replaced with a Thor, which is 5 temperature steps, and this is the first. There's another ocean one that's new too. I don't like this because you have to keep track of who raises the temperature, and it's something the game was not really intended to do. Not sure I love it, but I guess heat needs help, so that's fine. And 5 can be pretty quick. That's the other thing. Like, you just imagine like what's it called? Prelude that has 3 steps, and then Nuxon, and that's it. So I think that one can also be a little quick. I didn't love that change. Anyway, let's move on to Cimmeria. I don't know what you call it. Okay, so in Cimmeria, we actually didn't have any changes. Like Planetologist, Coast Guard, Forester, and Fundraiser stayed the same. But then Architect got eliminated. Architect was 3 city tags, and I love that got eliminated because that kind of made no sense. Like, you have Mayor, which is 3 cities, so it's still similar because city tags, pretty much all they do is place cities. But this is just a little less flexible because now, like standard projects or like Tharsis or any prelude that might place a city wouldn't count. So yeah, it was kind of like a worse version of Mayor, just so I didn't like it. So I'm very happy that Architect left. But then it was replaced by Hydrologist, which is like Thor but with oceans, right? So it's four oceans, and you have to keep put a marker on the oceans until all oceans are placed. Sorry, until the milestone is claimed, pretty much, or three other milestones are claimed. And I don't know, not a big fan, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. It's not the end of the world to track it. Also, maybe I'm being a little picky, but yeah, not that mechanic wasn't really my favorite. Anyway, let's move on to Vastitas. So Vastitas, I did the video for already, so you can check that out. But what we had in Vastitas was, again, the first 40 unchanged: engineer, farmer, geologist, spacefarer. But agronomist got taken off, and agronomist was for plant tax. I like that this was taken off because he was just like a harder version of what do you call it? Ecologist? Yeah, ecologist, which maybe is a bit on the easier side, but I didn't feel it was very original. So yeah, I don't mind agronomist taking off. It was replaced by Briber, which is just pay 12, so pay 20 for a milestone. I think it can be interesting. Australia, but it costs as much as the third award, right? For 5 points. So, like, part of the reason the milestones are so good is the price, right? 5 points for 8 cash is great. 5 points for 20 cash, it's still good. It's at 4. It's just, do you go for it? Like mid game, you go for it, right? If there's two claimed and no one has claimed that one, you take it. You just take that. Early game though, like, could you mess your economy too much by just investing 20 into points? Because it's a good ratio, but it's just not something you want to do early anyway. So I'm curious. I think it's gonna be huge for companies like Credit Core, which really have no path to any milestones generally. But yeah, we'll see. I think it's interesting. At first I don't think I liked it, but I think now I think it's interesting. But anyway, let's talk about the Amazonis ones, because these are all technically 5 new ones. And funnily enough, there's a change already, because like the way merchant is printed on the Amazonis Planitia board is different. So I don't know what's that about. Like, but I'm guessing maybe because the Amazonis. Well, I'll get into it, but let's start with Terran. 5 Earth tax. I love it. I love Earth tax. It's a fun strategy, and just getting a milestone out of it is great. Then you got Land Shaper. I really like this one too. You just need a city greenery and special tile, which is not uncommon if you go for Grand Game. Usually, want to use your special tiles like Nuke Zone or maybe Lava Flows to pick up some plants, place your greenery, and then you just place your city to protect it. It's just like it fits into your strategy, same as Terran. And Sponsor. This is the other one for Credit Core. I do like that the 20 cost thing, the 20 card cost thing is like a theme now. There's a few cards, and now there's a milestone. This is another thing that I was like iffy on, but I actually like it. I like that there's a 20 cost, like an expensive card combo, basically, in the game now. Now it's very diluted because of the size of the deck, but it's nice. 3 cards of cost 20. I think it could be tough, but it's going to be one of those where you could get very lucky with an expensive corp. It's still probably going to be a third gen thing for the most part, because you have to invest 60, minimum 68, to claim the milestone. And most companies don't get there before the third generation. Like, almost none of them do, unless you do nothing else, right? So, I mean, 3 is a lot because they cost 20, but we'll see. And then Lobbyist, I really like this one, because you can blindside people a lot, and I just love Turmoil. But yes, you have 7 delegates, so all your delegates have to be somewhere in the Senate. So chairman counts, anywhere in the party, party leader, they just have to be in there. Now, obviously, this is great for one of my favorite corps, Septem Tribus, because they'll probably have six around. So just getting another one to get a milestone, it's not a huge deal. For most corps, it's a major investment though. So I think this is not gonna be an early milestone. So this Amazonis Planitia board, like Terran and Landshaper, I think are really early. Sponsor you can get there, but probably third or fourth. And Lobbyist is more of a mid game one. But let's talk about Merchant, because Merchant in the Amazonis Planitia board is three of every resource. In this expansion is two of every resource. I think that reason might be like because Amazonis Planitia is it's meant to be like a bigger game, then everything's bigger there. And to fit this one into other boards is better if it's just two. I think this is tough though. Like I think the better way to do this is to go for an Indian game. So you get, you're gonna have two cash. You are can just develop steel and titanium, and you'll get to two pretty quickly. You can develop energy instead of heat that you're gonna use to pay for cards. You just have to like let it turn into heat, and then the next generation you have two energy and two heat. So you get two energy production, let that turn into heat. Next generation you get your two energy and you have your two heat without investing into heat, and then you just probably place a tile to pick up the plants because I don't think you can invest into all of those productions. But yeah, probably like you'll have the cash, get at least one of each metal, and then wait a generation and get two energy, and then wait two generations, right? The same wait a generation, and then you got it. So there's a very interesting, and then you need a tile. Yeah, it's doable. It's very doable. But yeah, that's it for milestones. Generally, I mean, I love that this expansion exists now, but let's talk about awards. So awards, nothing changed in Tharsis. You have the same five awards. Let's move on. In Hellas, same thing, nothing changed. In Elysium, we did have a change. We lost Desert Settler, which was just tiles on the bottom four rows, and that got replaced by Administrator, which is most cards with no tax. Now this is a new theme, and I guess it's good to have it for the couple of corporations that are like themed around that. I don't know. Like cards with no tax really follow no strategy, so it's more of a random one. So I'm not too in love with that one. Nothing changed for Utopia or Cimmeria. But then for Vastitas, yeah, we lost Blacksmith. Now, Blacksmith was highest production of steel and titanium combined. Which I think was interesting. It's possible that there are too many that are like, because remember, we have like miner, it's resources, not production, but it's similar. There's more strategy around miner though. And then there's industrial age, which is like miner but with energy. So maybe they felt it was too similar. And then you have mogul, which is everything but cash. So maybe it was too similar, but that got replaced with biologist, which is just like ecologist, but an award instead of a milestone. I like the three green tags. Yeah, I like that, and there really isn't an award that's like it. So yeah, I know I do like that one. And then in Amazonis, weirdly, we had two changes, despite it being a new one. But again, this is maybe because they wanna adapt it to the new one, right? So we lost Innovator and Physicist. So Innovator was most played cards, including events, and that's just boring. So I like that was removed. And Physicist, most science and space tags. Which we already had science and we already had space. Those two things tend to go together. It's fun having them together, but I don't know. I don't mind that Physicist is the one that's removed. And then instead we had Visionary, which is most cards in hand. I kind of love that one. um, I think that's gonna be very, very interesting to see how people play it, because like to think that playing an extra card or you know making time in the last gen by discarding cards could cost you like 6 or 10 points. That's insane. So I actually, this might be my favorite addition, Visionary. I think it makes the last gen insanely interesting. And then Politician. And Politician is most party leaders and influence combined. So yeah, remember influence is the chairman, the ruling party leader, and any people in the ruling party, and then you add that to the party leaders, which I mean, I guess being the ruling party leader counts for two. It's more valuable than chairman for this. But I really like that there's a turmoil one. It's not like, obviously you'd have to remove it if you're not playing with turmoil. But yeah, I really like it. So those two additions are also some of my favorite things here. And yeah, well, that's it for the video. So like I said, I only wanted to do like a review of changes. I didn't want to like get into too much into what every milestone does. But yeah, hope you like the video. Let me know what you think, and see you next time.